So the reason your math teacher always wants you to show your work is because mathematical communication is mostly written communication. And when you show your work, you're communicating to your teacher and anyone who's looking at your work what you're doing. That's how we communicate in math, is by writing. And also you can avoid mistakes that happen when you carry too many steps in your head. So I just want to show you some examples of how I want you to format your work, how your math should look for math class. So first of all, if you're solving an equation, you want to copy down the equation from the book as it is. Don't change it in your head and write down some other form of it. Copy it down as it is. Then show in your work. The main thing is that your strategy should be clear. You want to show each step on a new line, and your work should always go down. It shouldn't go across. It should always go down. Okay? And a good way to make sure your work is flowing down is to make sure you only have one equal sign per line. Okay, so instead of going along, you should go down. Okay. A lot of times students ask how much work they need to show. And you look at my work here, you see that I haven't shown every single step. You want to show enough work to communicate to me what you're doing, and also to make sure that you're not making silly mistakes by carrying too many steps in your head. So different people will show a different amount of work, and that's fine. But in general, if you're not sure, it's better to show more than less. Okay, and then finally you want to indicate your answer. I typically indicate my answer by these two little slashes here, but a lot of people like to circle their answer or box their answer. It doesn't matter to me, just make sure you indicate your answer somehow. Okay, this is an example of how I want you to show your work when you solve an equation by graphing. Again, you want to copy down the equation that you're solving from the book or from wherever you're getting the question from. Then you're going to make a graph using your graphing calculator or Desmos or something, and what you need to do is you need to sketch that graph on your paper. Okay, you want to sketch the graph on the paper, and that's part of showing your work. You want to circle the parts of the graph you're using to answer the question. So in this example, I'm graphing y equals the left-hand side here, that's the parabola, and y equals the right-hand side here, and that's the line. And the solutions are going to come from the intersections of the parabola and the line. So that's why these are circled. So you want to circle the parts of the graph you're using to answer the question, in this case to solve the equation, and write down the coordinates of the key points that are on the graph, in this case those intersections. At the end, the last thing obviously is to indicate your answer. When you solve this equation, you're solving for the value of x, so you only want the x coordinates. This equation has two solutions. You kind of can't see the second one because my little head is right here, but so I write down the two x coordinates. This is the two solutions, and again indicate your answer. Okay, so briefly I want to talk about mistakes. You can erase your mistakes, but you can also just cross them out with a single line. You don't have to scribble it out, just cross it out with a single line and continue working. If you're stuck, you want to write yourself a note. So draw a big question mark and write yourself a note. In this case, I didn't know maybe how to get this +6, and that's so you can remember that you have a question, and the next time you see me, you can ask me, or you can send me a message or something asking about that question. Okay, and then finally, on a page of your work, the most important thing is to put your problems in order. Remember, you need to make it clear what you're doing, and your work should go down and not across. So if you take a look here, this problem set is starting with number 10, and then to number 11 is going down. When I get to the bottom of the page, I come back up to the top of the page. This is an example. The first page is an example of having two columns. That's fine. You could also have one column like on the second page here, but the important thing is that your work goes down and it doesn't go across, and you put your problems in order, make it clear what you're doing, indicate your answer, but more importantly, show your work.